24-hour news source. This is the KCRG-TV9 Early Morning News.
This morning, rescue crews in Thailand hope today is the final day of their mission to save the rest of the soccer team trapped in a cave. Crews have now saved 2 more kids this morning.
President Trump offers his decision announcing a nominee to try to fill Justice Anthony Kennedy's open seat on the U.S. Supreme Court.
And the Justice Department says it's not going to be able to reunite more than 100 immigrant children with their parents by today's deadline.
Good Tuesday morning. It is 5 a.m. here on July the 10th with a live look at some of the color on the horizon of the Manchester City Cam to open up the day. High heat back once more.
Yep, exactly. Not quite as bad for the humidity today, just a few degrees better, but otherwise it's classic July here. We've got temperatures that are back in the 60s to lower 70s. Our dew points this morning are ranging from 66 to 72, depending on where you're at this morning. So more just typical July heat and humidity coming our way. Satellite and radar from across the state. Things are starting off clear and dry. We do have some scattered thunderstorms in the Dakotas. That's where they will stay today. So on the muggy meter, yesterday we talked about the mugginess and the dew points exceeding 70. Last evening in particular, it was very sticky out here. 65 to 74 today's dew points, so you'll notice the mugginess improving just slightly. At the same time, you'll notice the air temperatures, though, just about the same across the area. So another good pool day for us, where it's 86 degrees in our northeast zone, particularly towards the Dubuque area. Closer to 90 as you head farther south towards Iowa City and Coralville. No changes to the plan when it comes to the remainder of the week. Looks like the pattern's firmly locked in. The pattern change arrives here on Friday. We'll get you at least an opportunity and a look at what we can expect from a thunderstorm perspective by Friday. I know it's still 4 days out, but we at least have an idea on some thunderstorm potential here. We'll talk about it at 5:10.
Well, it's the weekend. People have plans.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kai. Happening right now as we take a live look out of Thailand this morning, where rescuers have now saved a 10th child out of the cave. Crews are working to rescue the remaining 2 boys and their coach now, who are still trapped inside. That group's been trapped for weeks as their families have been watching and waiting.
Along with the rest of the world, really. In the past 2 days, divers have successfully pulled out, again, 10 of the boys are now in the hospital recovering. KCRG-TV9's Alicia Tarancon joins us in the studio this morning with the latest updates. You've been following this. So what's the latest in these operations?
Well, Chris, right now, we just found out that 30 minutes ago, a 10th boy has emerged from the cave in northern Thailand. The 10th boy is said to be at a medical facility on site near the cave. 2 of the trapped boys were just rescued this morning. The governor of Chiang Rai says the 3rd rescue mission started overnight to get the remaining boys and their soccer coach out of the cave. At least 8 of the soccer players are currently recovering at a hospital. Officials say a few of them have lung infections but are in good spirits. Families have been able to visit, but only through a glass window. They have to remain in isolation for at least a week to protect their health. One father still waiting to hear news of his youngest son, whether or not he's made it out of the cave safely.
I will tell him that I am worried. I want him to be healthy, to get enough strength to dive out safely.
Once the remaining boys are rescued, an ambulance will wait for them and a helicopter will bring them to a hospital 35 miles away. That's where an entire floor has been set up to treat them. Now, rescue workers are now hoping to get the remaining boys and their coach out of the cave before heavier rains move in. Chris?
Thanks for the update, Alicia. President Trump announced his pick to replace Justice Anthony Kennedy on the U.S. Supreme Court. And that pick is Federal Appeals Court Judge Brett Kavanaugh of Washington, D.C.
Judge Kavanaugh has impeccable credentials, unsurpassed qualifications, and a proven commitment to equal justice under the law.
The 53-year-old Kavanaugh was once a former clerk to the retiring Justice Kennedy.
My judicial philosophy is straightforward. A judge must be independent and must interpret the law, not make the law. A judge must interpret statutes as written, and a judge must interpret the Constitution as written.
Judge Kavanaugh was on former President George W. Bush's team during the Florida recount of 2000 and served in the Bush White House. He was independent counsel for Kenneth Starr's team investigating President Clinton before that. He later had second thoughts about whether presidents should be subject to prosecution and investigations. Senator Chuck Grassley released a statement following the announcement yesterday saying Judge Kavanaugh is one of the most qualified Supreme Court nominees to come before the Senate. He is a superb mainstream candidate worthy of the Senate's consideration. Senator Joni Ernst says Judge Kavanaugh deserves a respectful and timely confirmation, and I stand ready to offer advice and consent to Judge Kavanaugh as he moves through the confirmation process.
Vice President Mike Pence will be in Cedar Rapids tomorrow to campaign for Congressman Rod Blum. The two-term Republican is running for re-election against Democrat Abby Finkenauer in Iowa's 1st Congressional District. Now, this race is getting national attention because many political experts believe Blum's seat is vulnerable. Yesterday in Dubuque, Blum said Pence's visit means more to him than just a campaign stop.
This is another good opportunity for me to bend the vice president's ear about the 1st district and what's up. Well, we'll probably talk about trade if I had to guess.
Finkenauer responded to Pence's visit, saying unless Rod Blum is hosting a meeting between the vice president and our soybean and corn farmers and pork producers where they can personally tell the administration how their trade war is devastating to Iowa families, then he's not doing his job.
The November election is 119 days away, meaning people can start requesting absentee ballots through the mail. Request forms are available on the websites for county auditors. They won't start mailing the ballots until October 8th, which is the first day for early voting. The election is on Tuesday, November 6th.
The funeral for former Iowa Governor Bob Ray will be on Friday. He died Sunday at the age of 89. His body will lie in state at the Capitol Thursday for public viewing from 5:30 to 8:30. The funeral will be Friday afternoon in Des Moines. It'll be streamed online. Ray served as Iowa's governor from 1969 to 1983. The executive director of YPN, formerly the Young Parents Network in Cedar Rapids, died suddenly over the weekend. Brian Stutzman was 44. He'd served as the head of YPN for 18 years. The nonprofit started in 1985 to support young families in Cedar Rapids.
Developing this morning, authorities say an Iowa City man died when he fell over the weekend while climbing a boulder in northern Colorado. 31-year-old James Napier was with his girlfriend when it happened near Navajo Peak on Saturday, about 40 miles northwest of Denver. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office says that Napier fell 20 to 30 feet. Cedar Rapids police are asking for the public's help to identify the people involved in this incident at a Casey's General Store last week. This is video from the store on Ellis Boulevard Northwest in the Time Check neighborhood on the night of July 3rd, the same night of the Ellis fireworks. Police say a large group went into the store, as you can see here, some assaulting customers, some stole merchandise and damaged store property. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Cedar Rapids Police Department.
In a TV9 update this morning, today is the deadline to reunite more than 100 immigrant children with their parents, but the Justice Department says the Trump administration will not make it. Dozens of kids younger than 5 will leave detention centers today, but a government lawyer says the total is a little more than half of the 100 covered in the court order. The ACLU does not expect the administration to face any consequences for missing the deadline.
I think we're a long way from the court saying I'm going to sanction the government. I think now he feels like the government is working good faith, finally working to get this reunification done.
Today's deadline is not the last. The judge has ordered the administration to reunite more than 2,000 kids by July 26th.
Cedar Rapids city leaders hope to have a complete plan together over the next few months on how to fully pay for permanent flood protection. Last week, the city announced it is getting $117 million in federal money. But if you add the money to the state and the city money already pledged for the project, the total is still more than $200 million short of what the project requires in full. 2 city council flood committees met yesterday to start the process of finding the final piece of funding. The message: start quickly.
We heard today that we don't want to waste a minute. We heard today that flood control is absolutely critical to economic development, to the well-being of the people of this community.
The city council says there's no consensus yet on where to find the additional money for flood protection, but the most likely ideas involve selling bonds or perhaps extending the local option sales tax.
A public library in Dubuque is hitting the road to reach more people than ever before. KCRG-TV9's Aaron Scheinblum learned how a book-carrying tricycle is creating a lot of interest around town.
Staff members at the Carnegie-Stoudt Public Library said they wanted a new way to get people to take advantage of the library services, so they rolled out the Library on Wheels. While the portable version of the library may not have as many books, it does have the same services. Things can get checked out, and people can sign up for a library card. Evan Meyer, who rolls around the city with the cart, said they've already checked out more than 200 books in the short time he's been riding, and he's also gotten a handful of people to sign up for new cards as well.
I've also renewed and replaced about as many cards, 7 or 8, of people that just haven't been to the library a while, or they lost their card and they weren't sure what to do, and then I can just show up with my little kit and say, hey, you know, here's a new card, come visit us again.
Meyer said their main goal is to get more people reminded of the library services and expects more people to come as they recognize his yellow trike and outfit patrolling the streets. The Library on Wheels is scheduled to roll around the city through October, and if you want to see where it's headed next, we've included some information in this story on our website at KCRG.com. In Dubuque, Aaron Scheibloom, KCRG-TV9 News.
Coming up, a police officer is under investigation after a video surfaces of him pointing a gun at children, and it went viral.
And in today's agribusiness report, we'll talk tariffs with Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, who says it's a very bad time for agriculture.
We are starting off with pretty typical July numbers this morning. More low to mid-70s again around our Johnson County pinpoint storm net sides. I'll explain how this heat differs from July 4th heat wave next.
Right now, here's a look at today's opening farm markets. Thank you for joining us here on KCRG-TV9, and good morning. It's 5:10.
You're watching your 24-hour news source, KCRG-TV9, with Nicole Agee, Chris Earl, and meteorologist Kyle Mara. This is KCRG-TV9 Early Morning News.